powered smart speaker and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. America First with Sebastian Gorka, today at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So where do we stand in the auto industry? And I'm not just talking about as it pertains to EV subsidies. All the things we talked about sort of coming out of the lockdown, supply chains, chips from overseas, cars not on lots, skyrocketing used car prices. Where do we find ourselves after that has subsided somewhat? For more on that, pleased to be joined by Tracy Conn. He's the VP and GM at Joe Cotton Ford in Carroll Stream. Tracy, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me here.
So what is the marketplace like at present?
Not much different than it has been for the last year or so, year and a half. We still don't have enough inventory, new or used. And what's exacerbating the problem is rent-a-car companies, and I don't know if you've gone to rent a vehicle recently, but
yes, we both have.
It's very expensive to rent a vehicle. So the rent-a-car companies are out buying up used cars since they can't get enough new cars from the manufacturers, and that's what's creating this used car bubble right now, and eventually it will pop, but it's right now there's still a bubble. Used car prices are outrageous, and it's a good time to trade a car. It's not the greatest time to buy a car.
Now, Tracy, just went over that. You can't say used cars anymore. You have to say pre-owned.
I'm sorry.
When did they switch that?
As I told you, today is my 42nd anniversary of working there, so I'm still used cars, but pre-owned cars. Yes, I have to, and I have to learn to keep my pinky up when I drink my tea.
But some pre-owned cars are more expensive than new cars coming off.
Yeah, there are several
trucks.
cars. We've taken in probably 3 or 4 Broncos on trade and given them more than they paid for the vehicles. That's unheard of.
And so the problems that persist, though, where are the structural problems? Is it still a chip issue? What are the issues?
Well, chips are still an issue, yeah. Until they get these factories built in the United States, the ones by Intel and Apple, and they start producing chips for us here in the United States, that's still going to be a problem. But
how many years away are those? I mean,
the factories are supposed to be built by this summer, and by the time they get them up and running, I would say it's going to be about a year from now. But it seems like everything else, like right now, they're struggling to get foam for seats and door pads and armrests and dash pads and those types of things because they have these rolling, let's call them blackouts, where they can't work in China. And so then they get behind on that. So you think you have everything in line and you have a vehicle that's going to get built, and all of a sudden, you don't have door pads. Or you probably even heard about this one. We had 42,000 trucks sitting because we didn't have the blue oval that said Ford on it.
Really?
Yes. They were down in Kentucky. They were all at the racetrack down there.
So again, when are things going to get better?
I would say we're looking at least a year, and then it's going to take some time to shake out after that. So probably about a year and a half. Things should start to normalize somewhat.
But I'm talking about the chip manufacturing plants.
A year or a little over a year for that. Assuming that that's the only problem at that time, things will start to get back to some normalcy.
Where's since you're Ford, Joe Cotton Ford, where is Ford when it comes to what's coming off the product line, what their vision is, as you understand it, for their fleet of cars? Because I've seen some interesting things recently, including the fact they sold 91 million shares of Rivian, and that they were also investing $1 billion in combustion engine development.
Right. So Jim Farley, our CEO at our dealer meeting in Vegas back in September, made it very clear that we are not getting out of the ICE business, which is internal combustion engines, because there is no electric solution to pull 30, 40,000 pounds like these F-450s and F-550s can pull.
Right.
So we will continue to have ICE engines at least through 2040, which is what he had talked about. But at the same time, they are going to keep their foot on the gas, no pun intended, on the EVs. So they're expecting by 2030, half of everything that they build is going to be an EV. where you see a lot of these high ends, like Lincoln and Mercedes and all of these. They all say they're going to go all electric by 2030. Ford doesn't believe that that's the way. It might be okay for luxury vehicles, but it's not the way for John Q. Public.
What about like the sports cars like the Mustang? Is that going to go all electric?
No, in fact they were just teasing the new 24 Mustang GT and the GT 500 that's going to come along with it. No, they're definitely not getting away from Mustangs.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah. There's hope because Dan has said he is never going to drive an electronic vehicle.
Right, and I have his convertible sitting at the dealership right now.
Do you?
I do. It's there. I just need you to come up from.
Wait, what color did we decide on?
Yeah,
guys?
but the problem is the prices now. I mean, not at Joe Cotton Ford. It's not your fault, of course, but it's like buying a Silver Shadow right now. These car prices.
Well, I mean, you can afford a Silver Shadow, so
Well,
everything life is good.
okay.
Oh,
Big
here
bucks.
we go. Yeah, sure we
Just
go.
kidding, Dan.
All right.
Well, there's. Oh, go on.
No, go ahead.
Well, there's so many vehicles that were destroyed in the hurricane in Florida.
Yeah.
How do we know that those aren't going to meander their way into pre-owned lots?
They do, and you have to do your due diligence. If you see something that was in Florida, and we went through this a couple years ago in Houston. In Houston, they had the big hurricane down there, and so many cars were flooded. And these wholesalers, we call them jippers, will buy these vehicles and they'll bring them up to other states and try to sell them, and hope that nobody figured out that they were flooded, that they were totaled.
What's the auto industry like right now, and from your shop or just in general in terms of employment? We thought that we were going to start seeing mass layoffs. We have in certain big companies, but the job market remains tight per the 517,000 jobs created in January. So, how difficult is it for you to find any new employees you need? What's going on within the industry when it comes to employment?
The most difficult one is finding technicians, because I think a lot of, and I fault the parents for this, but a lot of parents tell their kids, hey, you have to go to college, but not every kid is meant to go to college. And so some of these trade schools are offering some really nice discounts and financing packages. I'm even going to high schools and speaking to the schools and to their parents as well, talking to them about getting into the auto industry. And I have technicians that make a lot of money, a lot more than they would work in a job that they got from college.
The Chicago Auto Show is coming up. If Chicago Auto Show, I assume there's going to be a lot of cars that feature sort of tank quality plating on the sides and the undercarriage to be able to be Chicago roadworthy.
Yeah. Bulletproof
glass. Is that what people are looking for this year from the Chicago Auto Show? Yeah.
So we were going to do a prototype and let Amy put it on her minivan, her dilapidated minivan. And
it's called the Hobo Ride.
The Hobo Ride. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Pre-owned Hobo Ride.
Pre-owned. Yeah. And so what are we going to see? What are we going to see at the Chicago Auto Show? What should we look forward to, or should we just stay away from downtown like everybody's doing?
Like most everybody else.
Well, if you go Friday night, you'll see a lot of people in tuxedos. But there will be a big push this year on electric vehicles from every manufacturer, not just Ford, but every manufacturer. And when you go to the Lincoln exhibit, they are making their way that way. If it's not a plug-in hybrid, it is an electric vehicle. So there will be a big push. The scary part about this is, though, where is all this electricity going to come from?
Yeah, with the lithium batteries.
Well, yeah, okay, but how are you going to charge those when there's rolling blackouts in California and the grid isn't meant to handle this?
John Podesta, Joe Biden, they'll figure it out. Tracy, don't worry your pretty little head. Well, they've got a plan. They've got it all figured out. Stop asking these impertinent questions, these impertinent practical questions.
Well, now hearing that from you, I'll be able to sleep better at night.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, are you giving like a state of the industry address at the Chicago Auto Show? Somebody of your stature in the community, what can people look forward to from you?
They can look forward to me changing light bulbs at the dealership, and occasionally they'll even let me wash a car here and there. So no speeches coming from me.
Well, how
at
does
least
the
this
auto
year.
show benefit your company, though, your business?
Well, we ultimately we are the people sending customers to the auto show. So we
Okay.
buy the tickets, and customers come in and they get tickets from us, and we're sending them to the auto show to try to get the and typically it does. It will get one warm day during the auto show, and it will spark interest in people, and all of a sudden they just come out of the woodwork, and the lot is full, and it's kind of a neat thing to see. But it hasn't been as great the last 2 years. Hopefully this year will be a little different.
Yeah, you know where you should get them tickets? You should get them to the Cars on 5th in Naples.
Yeah, well,
that's an auto show.
I'm sure it is, but they'll probably all be electric there soon, right?
No, I don't think so. And these are like I saw like the only matted finish Rolls Royce in the world.
Wow.
$800,000.
Oh,
Holy
yeah,
cow.
you could afford that.
But why don't you just
Live in your
take
car.
well, no, get yours wrapped in a matte finish, and you could put the little Rolls Royce emblem on it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, well, I wear that Rolls Royce hood ornament around my neck, so I'm just going to leave it there. Tracy Conn, Vice President GM at Joe Cotton Ford. Tracy, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one. Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you growing your manufacturing team this year and need new employees? Turn to Monarch Technical Services. They've been leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987. You'll appreciate their vetting process. They meet every candidate in person to interview and test for specific skills. Monarch assesses experience by using blueprint, shop math, part measurement, and CNC program exams. Their quality skills assessor was once a plant manager who worked on manufacturing equipment, so he